Hi, and welcome to CEI in the News. Today is January 21st, 2010, and this is a brief summary of some of CEI's recent appearances in the media. I'm your host, Greg Conco. To start us off, New York City Health Commissioner Thomas Farley is encouraging restaurants and food makers to lower the amount of salt in their foods so the consumer's sodium intake is no more than 1,500 milligrams a day. But as CEI's Dan Compton points out in a January 13th New York Post op-ed, studies show that the human body naturally self-regulates salt intake to be at least 2,700 milligrams a day. If Farley gets his way and people get less salt from the food they usually buy, their bodies will naturally crave more salt to get their daily intake back up to its normal level. The bottom line is, all Farley's going to end up with is a city of confused and hungry people wondering why they're craving pretzels all the time. In other news, CEI's William Yateman had an op-ed in the January 13th Washington Times on a Central Intelligence Agency program that gives environmental scientists access to classified satellite data. The program, first created in the Clinton era, is codenamed Measurements of Earth Data for Environmental Analysis, or MEDIA for short. Of course, those of you who studied classics know that Medea was a rather temperamental young woman from Greek mythology. She's famous for, among other things, chopping up her little brother, assassinating a king and princess, and stabbing her own two sons to death. Not exactly a trust-inspiring moniker for a CIA program, so let's keep an eye on that one. Also on the environment front, Myron Abell was featured in a January 13th Detroit News commentary on climate change. I was on Tom Hartman's radio show on January 12th defending modern industrial agriculture. On January 8th, Chris Horner was a guest on Fox News Channel and the G. Gordon Liddy Show talking about his book, Red Hot Lies. And on January 19th, CEI President Fred Smith was on the Charlie Sykes Show discussing environmental policy and the economy. Speaking of the economy, my colleague John Burlaw was on Newsmax TV last week to discuss TARP spending and the economic recovery. Here's a clip.
The good news is that that a lot of banks are now returning the TARP money they had borrowed. So we're getting this windfall from the TARP, or more money than, is being paid back than we anticipated. But instead of saving for a rainy day, it's the Obama administration and Democrats in Congress just wanted to add this and make this part of the huge spending binge that we're already spending on health care and stimulus.
John was also quoted on FoxBusiness.com on January 13th criticizing Congress's proposed ban on retail price fixing. In a January 20th op-ed in Tucker Carlson's new web publication, The Daily Caller, CEI's Wayne Cruz gives the Treasury Department a D grade for its first-year performance, arguing that Treasury's been negligent in letting Congress spend stimulus money it doesn't have. But to be fair, Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner's been under a lot of pressure recently. In a bizarre story out of Michigan, one man wants to depose Geithner for a lawsuit claiming the AIG bailout violates the First Amendment since AIG offers Islamic products structured to avoid the payment of interest. The Justice Department says, quote, high-level government officials would be paralyzed from carrying out their extensive duties if they were subject in every civil action against their agency. Of course, many Americans would be happy to have senior Treasury officials kept from carrying out their duties, but that's another matter. That's it for CEI in the News today. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our channel. And remember, links to all the stories we've mentioned can be found in the description box on the right side of the screen.
This week's CEI in the News was brought to you by Red Hot Lies and The Frankenfood Myth, both available on Amazon.com.